Hi, welcome to Bite-Sized Etymology with Linguistory. Today we're discussing the word doctor. Where did it come from, and how did we end up with the word we have today? Let's start at the beginning, all the way back to the oldest data we have available, Proto-Indo-European, purported to have been spoken roughly 4,000 years ago. This proto-language is the oldest known ancestor of English, and a lot of other languages, like German, Irish, Spanish, Greek, Russian, Persian, among others. Linguists have reconstructed the Proto-Indo-European dek, which means to take or accept. This was done by essentially tracing back the linguistic descendants and analyzing the different changes in the languages over time. By backtracking this way, they were able to reconstruct a likely picture of what the language could have looked like, though no written forms of the language or dialect continuum are extant or are as yet undiscovered. Fast forwarding all the way to the year 753 BC, we find ourselves in one of the many settlements in ancient Italy, Latium. This particular settlement is nestled at the base of Palatine Hill, which may sound familiar to some. Surrounding us are people who number only a few thousand, whose influence and power are lamentable. Their neighbors northward, called the Etruscans, were a far greater number and might. This small but noble people, nestled by the hillside, called themselves the Romans, after their first emperor, Romulus, whose existence is refuted. A brief summary of the story of Romulus is thus. Romulus and his brother Remus were twins, born to a human mother and a deific father, the god of war, Mars. Their mother, Rhea Silvia, was forced to serve among the Vestal Virgins by her uncle, the king of Alba Longa, so that she would not be able to bear a child to continue her father's lineage. Because of this, the twins were born already condemned to death. They were sent in a basket down the Tiber River, destined to die of exposure. Washed up on the shore later down the river, they are found by a she-wolf, or lupa. This is also a slang term for prostitute at the time, but for origin story's sake, we'll imagine a she-wolf. This she-wolf suckled the twins until a shepherd's family found them and took them in. Now adults, the brothers overthrew the king who condemned them to death and set out to build their own cities. Remus was killed by Romulus during a dispute over the settled land. Romulus founded his city along the coast of the Tiber, at Palatine Hill, and reigned over the city of Rome for over 30 years. The language of the people of Rome developed then into Classical Latin, the language of Cicero, Caesar, and Virgil. The Classical Latin iteration of our Proto-Indo-European term dek, which meant to take or accept, came about first in the verb decere, meaning to be seemly or fitting, which was then changed into docere, meaning to show, to teach, or to cause to know. This version of the verb is where we derived the noun we use today. Moving forward once more, we find ourselves in the 4th century, and everyone is using medieval Latin, or vulgar Latin. Our word now looks much more familiar, doctor. At this time, the term meant religious teacher, advisor, scholar, or teacher. As you may well be aware, the Latin language had many, many offshoots. We're going to take a look at an early offshoot now, Old French, and our term was adopted into the language in the form of docteur. It was also around the late 1500s that the term began to encapsulate the sense of the holder of the highest university degree, or studied something so extensively that they are able to teach the subject. This meaning is what we associate with the academic term doctor today. You might be wondering why we haven't discussed the medical profession yet. Worry not. Initially, English used something else, before later adopting the French term en masse. This something else, linguists suspect, was adopted from the Old Danish, which was spoken somewhere around 800 to 1100 AD. 1100 AD is also the beginning of Middle English. This Old Danish term was lake. The term was also subject to verbification, and there is record of the Old English verb læknien, meaning to cure or to heal, circa the 1200s. Before this fancy French version, doctor, English used the term leech. Weird, you might be thinking. Gross, perhaps. But the connection between bloodletting and the medicinal uses of leeches are pretty self-evident. By the 1800s, the term was used in ordinary vernacular only to refer to veterinary practitioners. and this sense survives in some dialects, such as the following terms: bullock leech, cow leech, horse leech, etc. Let's take a look at the records we have of the usage of this old term. On leches heo hade is spended mucho del ihre gut. On doctors she had spent much of her wealth. God that is ora lues leche. God that is our lives' doctor. The kunge delured him leches to cure their wounds. The king delivered them doctors to tend to their wounds.
My heart's delight, my sorrow's leche, mine earthly goddess here.
My heart's delight, my sorrow's healer, my earthly goddess here.
Al stern of speech as he had been an emeritunar or leech.
As stern of speech as if he were a medicine man or leech. A learned leech with some new drug. Grudging the leech his growing bill. Well, this is a reminder to go to your local leech at least once a year for a checkup. Well, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Until next time on Linguistory.